Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of us, not all of us because we're not all coffee drinkers, but I would say that the majority of preppers like coffee and store coffee. And Brazil is having problems with their coffee crops this year. So as this article says, your morning coffee is about to get more expensive. And ladies and gentlemen, that's on top of the prices having gone up already this year. Earlier this year, I did a video showing that coffee prices were going to get more expensive, and they have. That is why it's such a gem, like on my last payday prep video, where I found some freeze-dried coffee on sale. Whenever you find these sales, ladies and gentlemen, get them, especially freeze-dried coffee, because they'll last a long time. Before I get on to reading the article, you may also want to look at, if you're a coffee purist, you may also want to look at preserving some coffee in the bean form. You can get green coffee or green coffee beans and preserve them for long term by using oxygen absorbers and putting them in a sealed mylar bag or a sealed container where they'll last a very long time. So freeze-dried coffee for sure will last decades. Coffee beans in the green form will last a very long time. However, I can't say how long. I'm doing a short experiment right now with some green coffee beans that I bought about 3 years ago, I think it is now, 2 or 3 years ago, to see if they're still good after 5 years. So we've got 2 more years to go to see if that works out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so if you're a coffee connoisseur, take a look at the coffee in your supermarkets, and if you can afford to stock up on it, stock up on it. The coffee that I like the best, that lasts the longest in its regular form, I love Nutrient Survival coffee. All right, you hear me say Nutrient Survival all the time. It's because they're that good. But the regular coffee that you can either use in a French press or in a drip or use as espresso, as many of you know who've been here for a while, is Café Bustelo. I like Café Bustelo, and I've found that if you purchase the Café Bustelo or any other coffee, I would assume, I've only done this with Café Bustelo and Pilon, if you purchase them in the vacuum sealed bricks, it's like a little mylar bag that they vacuum seal into a brick, that those last quite a long time as well. I would assume that I have about a good 3-year supply of coffee in that form. And most of it, ladies and gentlemen, I've received from you and from my friends, Billy and Dee from Frontier Preppers. So thank you to those of you that have sent me some of that coffee in the past. All right, so check those out as well. Get them now, ladies and gentlemen, if you can, because prices are only going to go up when we have, number one, inflationary pressures on goods and things that we purchase on a regular basis, but also the weather plays a factor on how much crops can be yielded. Now, I'm not sure if this article mentions it or not because I haven't read it yet, but I do believe that I heard somewhere that in Brazil, their coffee production is down by like 2/3. They were interviewing a Brazilian farmer, coffee farmer, that said that normally it would take him about 3 months to harvest his coffee crop, whereas this year it only took him about 1 month. That tells me, through deductive reasoning, that he's probably only harvesting about 1/3 of what he normally harvests. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so this is something that a lot of people enjoy. Yes, caffeine is addictive, but if you don't have it, you're going to pay. Because if you don't have something that you're addicted to, you're going to pay. So make sure that if you are a caffeine-holic like myself, that you go ahead and make sure that you stock up on this now before it gets too expensive. All right, so let's go ahead and read on. It says here that the U.S. is running low on coffee due to a drought in Brazil and congested shipping ports. And it says that you're likely to end up paying more for a cup of coffee today than what you already are. Supply chain disruptions are causing many shortages, and we all know that, from cars to electronics, sending prices of pretty much everything up, ladies and gentlemen. Remember when I told you that I've been saying this for a while now. I don't say it on every video, but I've been saying it for a while. I told you a while back that one of the best investments that you can make is your pantry. Because if you take out 10 items that you purchased a year ago that's in your pantry, that more than likely those things have gone up in price, probably by about 25%. So if someone told you, hey, Would you invest $100 if in 1 year I can give you back $125? Most people would say, sure, why not? Well, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, one of the best investments that you can make, I'm not a financial advisor, is to invest in your full pantry. Have a full pantry of everything that you need. That way, you don't have to pay tomorrow's prices tomorrow, but you can eat tomorrow at today's prices. All right, so here it says, when it rains, it pours, and when there's a drought, prices go up. In this case, the drought is in Brazil, and it has the U.S. running low on coffee. That means your morning cup of joe is about to get more expensive. And isn't that the story of the day, ladies and gentlemen? That is the story of the day, and it's been going on here for the last year or so. The drought has decreased crop production just as congested shipping ports have caused U.S. coffee stockpiles to hit the lowest they've been in 6 years. So far, roasters have been relying on their inventories instead of hiking prices, but that will only last so long, and wholesale prices have climbed. Potential losses from the drought could affect half of Brazil's coffee crop next year. So prepare for it to keep going up, ladies and gentlemen. Prepare for coffee to keep going up, not only this year, but into next year as well. If you hear a humming in the background, I apologize. It's only temporary. That's my backup battery cooling itself down, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Here it says that soft commodities expert Judith Gaines said it was hard to determine how badly Brazil's Arabica beans were hit. But there will be a major failure, she said. I saw areas with 100% losses, 50% losses, and 30% losses. Wow, that's devastating for those areas and the farmers that had 100% losses. Arabica coffee futures in New York have increased by nearly a quarter since the end of October. 25%, ladies and gentlemen, since the end of October of last year. Spectron recently upgraded its coffee deficit forecast from 8 million bags to 10.7 million bags, citing the drought. Logistics problems have only compounded the shortage brought on by declining crops. Some facilities in Dinamo, Brazil, told Bloomberg don't have enough containers to ship out coffee. So not only are we having a problem with the weather, not only are we having a problem with inflation, right, making things go up, but also with the shipping containers, ladies and gentlemen. So it's a trifecta of problems that we're having, not only with coffee, but as I'm sure you already know, with most things that we consume and need to live on an everyday basis. Some containers and charter vessels aren't currently available, causing backups and delays at the shipping ports. It could take 2 to 3 years for takeaway coffee to return to pre-health crisis levels. But coffee isn't the only goods shortage hitting the global economy as it reopens this year. U.S. shipping ports have become unusually congested as imports pick up speed due to surging and unpredictable customer demand, delaying shipments of all types, from sneakers to meat. Companies struggled to estimate demand correctly, partially explaining the pileup while factories' production was halted off on during the work-from-home economy of 2020. And ladies and gentlemen, this goes on to explain that the shortage is not just in coffee, and I'm sure that we all know that, and that it is acute. It is more of a problem in certain spaces like semiconductor chips that are needed to make personal electronics and products with electronic components such as cars, and almost everything else that is technology-based. And finally, February's Texas freeze suspended much of the oil sector and the manufacturers who rely on it, making gas harder to come by, and things refineries produce like plastics are more expensive. And as I've stated in the past, if you've all seen my 2,500 gallon water tank that I purchased last year, I am so happy that I purchased that last year, ladies and gentlemen. I purchased it last year knowing that I wasn't going to need it last year because I still have to winterize it. But I got it anyways just in case. And this year, they are nowhere to be found. And if you can go somewhere, there's one place here in Fairbanks where you can go get a tank that is that big. That's 2,500 gallons. And I would be paying 5 times more for that same tank as what I did last year. And that's not to mention the shortage of things like bikes, fitness equipment, and even lumber, the latter of which has added to already high housing prices. And the lumber, ladies and gentlemen, as you've all seen, it's been coming down, and people have been saying, oh, lumber is crashing, because I think that the last time I saw it was around $650 for a 100-foot board, all the way down from $1,700. But remember what I said, and I could be wrong, but remember what I said, that before lumber prices skyrocketed all the way up to $1,700, they averaged around $350, maybe $400 a 100-foot board, right? And now they're sitting at $650. And I said that I don't think they'll come back down to their previous levels that they averaged. So that's the game they play with inflation, ladies and gentlemen. They allow things to skyrocket to where the prices are astronomical, and then they bring them back down, but they never go back down to the levels that they averaged previous to that skyrocketing price. And as supplies dwindle, all of these things become things Americans could end up paying more for. Not could, will, if you can afford it. And they finish off by saying, but you know what they say, when it rains it pours, and it absolutely does, ladies and gentlemen. So what is the message? Prepare, ladies and gentlemen. Prepare even with those things that you know you don't need to survive. Do we need coffee to survive? Nope, we sure don't. But it sure is nice to have a cup of coffee whenever you want it. And if you're prepped and get these things now, that they're not as expensive as what they are going to be here in the future, then you're going to have them when the prices do go up, and you'll be able to eat and drink tomorrow at today's prices. All right, ladies and gentlemen, having said that, thank you very much for joining in today. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Have a great week ahead. Many blessings to all of you and your families. I'm Alaska Prepper. I am out.
Nutrient Survival isn't just survival food. It's special ops grade. Built to the nutritional standards of the U.S. Special Ops and packed with 40 essential nutrients. Formulated to sustain energy, sharpen focus, and keep you and your family thriving during any emergency. Real food, real ingredients. Oh, and a 25-year shelf life. Our meals will kick your taste buds in the mouth and have them coming back for dessert. Yeah, we've got that too. So whether you're digging in or bugging out, you don't just survive an emergency situation, you thrive in it. Nutrient Survival. Feed your freedom.